Hi there boys and girls, it's Alex from PokerDiaries.net. Today I'm making a new video how to make money playing poker against the fish. So this is the most important thing about playing poker. So you need to play against the weaker players, against the recreational players, and you need to identify them and to see how are they playing, what are their tendencies. So some recreational players are playing really passive, really weak, and they are only just checking and calling, usually only betting when they have super strong hands. And of course, there are super aggressive players. So we need totally different approaches against the aggressive players. Against the aggressive players, we need to give them an opportunity to bluff. Sometimes we need to check to them so they will make their move. And we are making a huge mistake if we are checking to the passive ones. Against the passive ones, when we have a strong hand, we need to bet big this hand and get the maximum value. So we need to pay attention close to their stats, to their tendencies, to write the notes if it's something weird that they did maybe previous hand, so we know in the future what are they doing. So I have a few hands here that I played against the recreational players, and the first one here is a really simple one. This is a hand against the passive opponent. So this opponent, he's playing 75% of hands, he is raising 32% of hands. And let's see how the hand is played. He opened UTG, and I free bet from middle position with the King Jack of spades. The reason I'm free betting here, not just calling, is because I want to isolate the weaker player, stay in the heads up pot against him in the position with probably stronger holding than he has. And here we have a top pair, but it's a really scary board. There is a flush draw here, there is a straight draw here, so we have to play cautiously the flop. When he checks, we bet half of the pot. If he raises here, it will be a really hard decision. We have to see how much is he raising, and probably we'll have to fold on turn to any aggression. But he did not raise; he just calls here, and we have a blank on the turn. But it also opens the other flush draw. So now there is a heart flush draw and clubs flush draw. When he checks, we bet big here. And we have a perfect river here, so there is no scary card like maybe a 9 of hearts or 10 of clubs or something like that. So we are usually good here with our pair of jacks. And to check back here is a huge mistake against the passive opponent. When he checks, we just stack off here, and he pays off with his weak holding. So against the passive opponent, the good strategy is to just go bet big and get the maximum value from him. The second hand is slightly more complicated, but still very basic. We opened UTG, and we have the call from the button from the weak opponent. He is playing 62% of hands, and he's raising 12% of hands. So we also have a call from the regular here from the big blind. When regular calls, we expect him to have pocket pairs, maybe some suited connectors. If he had any strong holdings, he would squeeze here. So when he just calls, we are pretty certain that he maybe hit this board with a flush draw, or maybe with a hand like 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, something like this. Of course, we have the absolute nuts here, and we are betting straight away to get the value from the fish. We bet here half the pot, the fish calls, and the regular also calls. This is a good turn card for us. There is no opened straight or flush on the turn. And we continue to bet here big. The fish also calls, and the regular calls. So when the fish calls, he can have flush draws here, he can have straight draws, he can have random ace like ace 10 or something like that. but he's mainly calling here with hand like 7-8, 7-9, 9-10. So different draws or two hearts in his hand. So he's waiting for a flush. And when the river breaks here, first thing, if we bet here, he will call us with his two pair hands like 5-6, 6-7, 8-6, 8-7, but he's also betting these hands. So if we check, he's also betting these hands, so we are not losing value from these hands. But we are losing value from the hands that are flush draws and mid straight draws. And let's see, is he bluffing enough if we check here? So when we look at his river aggression, his river aggression is 55%. That's really high. So I'm expecting him to bluff if he missed his draw. And when we check here, we give him the opportunity to bluff. Here he stacks off his weak ace, and we get the full value for our hand. So in this situation, it will be probably the same if we check or if we bet because he had an ace. But if he had some weaker holding, we are giving him opportunity to bluff, and we are not losing any value. So against the aggressive opponents, this is a different approach than against the passive ones. Here we have also fish UTG. He's playing 62% and raising 12%. When he limps, we isolate here from the ace-9 of hearts, and when he calls, we are expecting here to be ahead of his range. And here when we have a flush draw and the overcard and runner straight draws against some regulars on this flop, we can stack off, and we are probably flipping or we are ahead. But here maybe there is also a better play. If he raises, let's see how much is he raising. So on the flop, he raises a bet in position 67% of time, but we have only free hands, so he raised two hands out of free hands. So maybe he is slightly more aggressive, and if we re-raise here, we are not giving him opportunity to bluff. So if he wants to bluff, if we re-raise here, he will just fold his 6 high. So we are just calling here to induce the bluffs from the aggressive fish. When we spike an ace on the turn, we are never folding. If he has a jack, we'll just lose a pot. He continues to bluff on the turn. Let's see how much is his turn aggression. His turn aggression is 47%, and his river aggression is 55%. So he is bluffing a lot when he has an opportunity. We're just gonna call here and call again. So by not stacking on the flop, we made much more money here because we gave him opportunity to bluff. And let's go to the last hand. So this one is against the passive guy. He's very passive. He plays 74% of hands. So and he's raising only 9. So I expect him to have a lot of garbage like this hand here, queen 5 off, that he just calls. We're opening UTG with 2 jacks. And this guy flops a world here, so he flops a full house here. Of course, we don't know that from our perspective. We don't need to bet here because there is a queen on the board, and there is also other guy from the small blind who also looks really fishy. So we're just gonna check here and to see what comes on the turn. And he also checks. So this is example how the passive guys plays. So he flops the full house. He's on the button on the last position, and he just checks. So this is a really bad play. Here we got lucky to spike a jack, and we are betting here to get value from the flush draws, from the straight draws, from hands like king 10, random jack, random 5, random queen, any flush draw. And we effectively here have a nuts. The nuts would be 2 5s, that is very unlikely. Second nuts would be 2 queens, that is also unlikely because nobody re-raised before the flops. So we effectively have a nuts here with our full house with the jacks. This guy calls, of course, and the other guy calls. And here there is a few flushes and few straights and few two pairs that came here on this river. So if we bet like half of the pot here, that would be a huge mistake against the guy who is not folding anything. So I think this guy would call anything with his flush or two pair or straight. So that's the reason we are betting everything. And here, of course, he has the top of his range, he has the full house, so he is calling. But I think the same outcome would be if he had a flush or straight. So that's it for today. It was a really short 10-15 minutes video about playing against the fish. I hope you learned something new. And of course, it's really important to pay attention who is the fish at your table. And if you are surrounded with regulars, just change the table. Try to find a table that has some weaker opponents. And then when you have weaker opponents, you have to pay attention. How are they playing? Are they passive? Are they aggressive? So that will change your strategy. Should you give them opportunity to bluff, or should you value bet yourself? That's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.